Good day everybody, welcome back to the second part of my expandable foam experience. So an experiment, it was an experience. Anywho, somebody had asked me to demonstrate how I applied the foam because the first time in the first video I don't really show it because I decided to video it after I had already applied it. So there was just a quick you've already passed that part of it, but you know, it's pretty straightforward. You just spray it on, pull it along while it's coming out, and stretch it out. And I use my stick to stretch it out a little bit, and I also use my fingers, but it does get quite sticky, and it kind of pulls itself, you know, it sticks to itself, and it's a little bit tricky to do. So in all honesty, the texture paste would be much easier to apply to get texture. But the thing is, I like this because it's quite light, and you can do a really big piece and use this, and also it's not hard. Like, it's not rock hard, it still hardens, and with resin over it, it still hardens enough, but it's not rock hard and really heavy. So if you do a really big piece, it's not gonna weigh a ton, if you know what I mean. And here I'm just showing you how I clean the nozzle after I had used it. So I just have a really thick wire here. So you can even, I think it is actually from a wire coat hanger that I cut out a long time ago for something, and I found it and I thought that was really cool. And one of those kebab sticks also, because it's a bit thinner and pointier, and I can get into some of the spots, and you know, then using a tissue paper to just push it through that straw part of it. And I've also worked out that if this straw, I'm sure it's got a technical name, but I just call it a straw, if it carks itself, I can just use a regular straw because it fits perfectly, and you can cut it to size. I've also tried dipping my fingers in some water to try to kind of smooth out a little bit of this texture, but it really didn't work, and I think oil would be my best bet to do it, but then I can't resin over it, so that's a bummer. So I just, you know, you just do the best you can, really.
Here's what I found.
It is a little bit fiddly, but you guys are clever. You'll figure it out. I mean, if I could do it, anyone can do it, really. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding some white paint just around the edges of that wave to start with, and then everywhere else. Somebody had told me, or they left a message in the comments under my previous video, that foam could potentially yellow in time, and I had an inclination that that could happen. So I'm just making sure that I cover the whole area of that foam with paint. So here I'm going with just a white paint, just a regular acrylic paint, and a little further down the track I will be using some white ink. This may or may not be another Le'Rez line. The inks, yes, but don't get too excited because I'm in a process of experimenting with these inks at the moment, as I'm not a chemist and I need to expose these inks to various elements to make sure that they are sustainable, because you don't want to be buying inks that are not great. And Le'Rez is all about great colors and quality colors. So that's what's been going on, and that is why I haven't been posting so many videos so often. So yeah, here it comes now. There's that lovely white ink. It's quite opaque. It's just because I couldn't fit into all those crevices with my finger, so I'm going around with the ink and with my paintbrush and just making sure I dip in everywhere and cover every single little piece, every little part of it, to make sure that I don't have any yellow bits sticking out in years to come. So that is what I'm doing right now. And now I'm just dabbing all that ink, because I went a little bit overboard with it, so there was a bit too much in there. And so just dabbing some of the excess off of it and drying it as I go, just with a hairdryer, making sure that you know, it's nice and dry and ready for my resin. Just going off around and cleaning my fingers and cleaning around, and yeah, a little bit more, soaking up that, and you can see some of that blue showing underneath, which is fine. And I've got a little bit of a lime kind of color, which I thought would look great on my wave, and a lot of it gets a lot of it disappears with the white, and later on when I add my my angel white resin, it just takes over everything, I think, but nonetheless it worked out well. So just cleaning everything a little bit and ready for the next stage in a second. And just dripping a little bit of a really nice turquoise ink, just another one of my new inventions. Just applying it underneath the wave as well as on top of the wave, just for a little bit of contrast. A lot of it gets hidden underneath the white that I will add further down the track, but you do still see it, which is great. And some of that, more of that beautiful lime green, and then I'm going to use my fingers to just spread them around a little bit, let them mingle, let them get acquainted, and it just creates a really nice shade all on its own. There goes that finger. Just these are FDA approved and quite safe, so I can use my fingers on there without the gloves. And also, you know, I just love the feel of paint on my fingers, and I've got better control that way. With the gloves, I just tend to mess up a bit, quite a bit. So giving it a little bit of a dry, just with a hairdryer, making sure that it's all nice and ready and dry, you know, and ready for my resin. I've got a really nice blue now that I'm just adding underneath that wave and squeezing some into those crevices and the little caves that I have underneath there, because the foam, when it all bubbled up, created these little pretty little caves, which is quite pretty and very effective in a piece like this. And also putting a little bit on top as well. Just going around with that tissue paper and cleaning some bits off, and some more of the white just on top of those rocks, just to give them a little bit of a contrast, bit of a highlight. and then I'm gonna dry it all up again. Just keep adding and drying until it's ready. Looking at this piece now, it looks ready just as it is, but I wanted to add some more angel white and continue that foam, and I think that I've added a little bit too much of the angel white, and you know, it just ended up really white. But I was thinking, and I know I'm repeating myself now because I had to redo this audio so many times that I've forgotten now what I've recorded and what I haven't recorded. But if you haven't heard it, I will say it again. I'm thinking about doing like a triptych using the same sort of a theme, and maybe have this painting in the middle and creating another two on the either side of this painting, and just mounting them all together on a nice long MDF board and have it as a triptych. I think that would look really nice, because I think on its own this painting, it just it's not working out for me. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love it, but for me, I think it needs something else. Ooh, I'm way ahead of myself. Quickly, let me just tell you what I'm doing now. I've got some crushed glass. This is a finely crushed glass. It's very fine. It's finer than sand. So I just put in a couple of drops of the gold ink and give it a little bit of a mix. It's still pretty dry, and some of the areas of that glass is not covered. So the parts that are not covered are just going to give me texture, because it's clear. It looks white when I apply it, but it actually is clear. It only looks white because it's sitting on top of resin, but once it soaks the resin in, it kind of just goes clear. But like I said, that just gives me really nice texture. And you will see shortly that I will use a spoon, just a plastic spoon, to apply that gold colored crushed glass onto the bottom part of that painting, just to create a sand looking beach kind of theme. And here it is, just spreading it out with the spoon. Spoons are really useful in artwork, because you can do so many things with them. You know, they work really well. If I was going to spread it out just from the cup, or you know, even using a stirring stick, it wouldn't be as good. So just going to round those rocks a little bit, just creating an illusion. That's what you do in artwork. You know, even the most realistic paintings, you know, they are really an illusion of what you're trying to put to show, what you're trying to express. I used to do realistic paintings. I used to really love doing them, and I used to get so frustrated doing them because I wanted to make them as realistic as possible. But then I got onto abstract art, and I just enjoy them much better, because you know, anybody can learn to do realistic painting. And if I want something realistic, I just take a photo of it. That's just my opinion. So a little bit more of that crushed glass, and I am sprinkling it straight out of the cup here, because it doesn't really matter here if it's uneven. I've already got some, and they will soak that resin in and just be transparent. It's just giving me a nice texture, and that's what I wanted. And just using my finger a little bit to just spread it all around a little bit. Okie dokie, so I've got some more of that crushed glass, and I'm just adding a few drops of my white ink and just stirring it up a little bit into like a really thick paste, and then applying some of that over the top of my sand, which is wet because I've got that I've got a bit of resin on that bottom part underneath the wave, as you would have seen, and some of that sand, and now adding some white colored sand. My idea is to see, you know, whether or not I'm just spraying some alcohol in there and just wanting to see how that white and the alcohol will react, even though it is mixed in with the sand. And when I heated it with the heat gun, it created tiny little, I won't call them cells or lacing, it's just like a tiny little foam, like fine foam, which I thought looked great. So just going around dabbing with my finger and pushing it against those little rocks as well. So far it looks really great. And now I'm just going around with the white ink, just a few drops here and there. Well, it was supposed to be a little stream, but it didn't quite work out that well, but it's okay. So I just dabbed my finger in and spread it out a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of that white in there. I am mixing some of this beautiful ink. It's a blue color. Look how transparent that is. It's just gorgeous. It's sitting beautifully on top there, and just spreading it out. Look how beautiful that is. Wow. And because I already have some color underneath it, it just adds to the whole effect. This is one of the reasons why I love multiple layers. You know, because if you apply one layer, if you're happy with the first layer, great. But if you're not and you want to add some more to it, go with transparent colors. They will just add so much beauty and depth to your piece. It's unbelievable. I really hope that you can't hear the noise that I have around me at the moment. I think one of my neighbours is chopping down trees or doing something, and it's really loud, so I'm hoping that you can't hear it. And adding some of that blue, my goodness, look at that colour. That is amazing. And making sure that I get it inside all of those little holes that I have there, little caves. And a lot of it will be lost when I add my white, I know, but you'll still be able to see the layers underneath it, which is quite amazing, to be honest. So there's a lot of fiddling, and I do tend to fiddle a lot. You just can't take the artist out of me, you know. I'm not one of those people who just pour and get a perfect pour. I'm one of those people who, and there's a lot of us about, who likes to fiddle, who likes to experiment, likes to add things to it, like to embellish things, you know, add different mediums to your piece, and create depth. So nothing wrong with just a straight pour. that is also perfect. But I think if you venture out, for all you newbies out there, venture out and try something else, add something to it. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Just do your pour, let it dry, let it set, and then look at it and see what kind of speaks to you, what sticks out, and then you can work on that area and bring it up and create some amazing paintings. So I would like to encourage all of you to give it a go. You know? Okay, here comes the angel white, just adding some waves, just a little thin stream up the top there, and quite a lot on the actual wave part. I just want to make sure that I cover the whole wave, and I am using my fingers because it's such a bumpy, lumpy area that it needs a little bit of assistance. And here we go, a little bit at the bottom there. That will spread out, and I tell you what, it's not easy to use your, to create lacing and cells over such a textured area, because you're just not getting into it right. You're not getting into it from the right angle. But I gave it a go, and it worked out fine, I think. So here I am going a little bit with that with the heat gun, just on a low setting to start with, and you can see that white spreading now. And a little bit of tilting. So of course I'm not happy with it. Still needs more. So I will be adding some more white in a second. A little bit up the top there, just to create like a continuous scene. It's got to be part of the story. And adding a little bit of that angel white around my rocks, and a little bit on my sand. That worked out really well. It just needed, like you would have seen, just layering, adding more. It's a good thing to know when to stop though, because sometimes you can really overdo it. And now that I have all that white there, it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to have to tilt some more, and I've actually propped that my board a little bit, just to encourage the resin to flow downwards, because I want that white to flow freely downwards. I was just using my little stick. You can use a toothpick, and just stretching some of those white parts there, just to create a little bit of a foam looking like effect there. It worked well, but it needed, in my opinion, at the time, it just needed a little bit more white. As you can see there, it looks great, but I need to add some more clear. I believe this is the next day. Everything is kind of set up, and I'm adding a little bit of clear to cover that whole wave. Making sure I get into all of those little bumpy bits and all those little crevices. So it was a process. As you can see, it took 3 goes to get this done. Who would have thought such a little piece would take so long? It's only because it was a practice piece, and next time it would flow much quicker and better. I just showed you there a little bit of angel white, which I only had a little bit left in the jar, and I decided to mix my resin inside the jar and then pour it in a cup. But what I didn't pay attention to at the time is that because I had the wrong lid on this jar, I had a purple outline on the actual rim of the jar. You can see it right there. See, I'm showing it to you now, and I'm thinking to myself, you idiot, you should be paying attention to these things. But no, I didn't. I was too eager to mix some white and save whatever was left inside there. So what I did was I just when I poured it into a cup, I just scooped up. Thankfully, that purple was just sitting on top, so I was able to just scoop it up with just with a spoon, plastic spoon, and scooped out the purple part of it. Oh, saved! But that could have been a disaster, absolute disaster. Can you imagine having that purple on there? Oh my God! So anywho, just going around now with that white, using a spoon here because I want to make sure that I get into everywhere. And like I said, spoons are very, very handy. And now I'm going around with that white and just kind of spreading it around the whole wave, making sure that it is white rather than all of those other blues and greens that I have there. So I want to have obviously want to have some of the white on there, and then going around with my stick and just making sure that I've covered every area that I need to cover. If I did this in the previous layer, I would have mixed the white with my blues and my greens, and I wouldn't have got a perfect white. And this is why this last layer, it's just white and clear resin. That's all. And this is what I'm talking about. It is really difficult to get into the right angle to move that white now, because I have that bulging wave there, and yeah, it's really hard to do. But it is manageable, like I said. Just a bit of practice. And even at this stage it looks great. I could have left it at this. It just looks like that water running off. But I didn't stop there. No, 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 no. I kept on going. I'm actually using that pointy stick now to pull some of that foam out. And just using a card. This is one of those sample cards that you can get at the any kind of paint shop, and I had a bunch of them, and they work really well. So I was just pulling out, just swiping really some of that white out. So I was swiping obviously with the flat end, and then the sharp end I pulled those lines, so it worked out really well, and I fiddle quite a bit with that now, just going around with my fingers and making sure that I have that white everywhere. And every so often I will just scrape up some of the resin which had leaked underneath my painting, and that card is amazing because it just picks it up really well. And then putting some more up onto my piece, and you can see there I'm just creating some foam just with the stirring stick, and some more with my card. And adding some more of that white underneath. I just don't like wasting any resin. They are useful, the drips are useful because you can get some really nice skins, but I already have so many of them, so I'm just scraping up whatever I can and adding it to my piece. So we're nearly at the end of this video, and I hope you got inspired to create something similar to this, and let me know what you think of this video, as well as how you go with your own piece. I'm always happy to look at your artwork, so email it to me. It'll be nice, and if you're not part of our group, please do join us. The Facebook group is called Fluid Art Community with Suzana Dancks, and that's exactly what it is. It's a community, and it's a lovely place where you can share your artwork, and you can always get advice about products and techniques and styles and all kinds of different things, and also just to enjoy other people's artwork, which is lovely. Also, if you haven't seen the Facebook Le'Rez page, Le'Rez Expressions page, do pop in, give me a like. It's always nice to get a like, and it does help. And also, if you haven't tried Le'Rez products, do give them a go. You will not regret it. They are just amazing. They're lovely. I put a lot of work and effort into creating them, so I hope you like them. And also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. And oh my god, this is a real long promo. So I do apologize if I annoyed you with this, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think. So I will let you watch the rest of it without my annoying voice in the background. Trust me, I'm not happy with it, especially when I have to repeat myself so many times, because the technology didn't work. But anywho, hope you have a lovely day, enjoy your artwork, and I'll be in touch with some more videos. Bye for now.